Okay, welcome back to Inside the Podcast. It's the catchiest name in all podcasting and probably only listened to by a dozen or so women's lacrosse fans across the world. But today we have a special guest, and everyone will want to hear from Jenny Kinsey. Jenny Kinsey is a attack midfielder on the JU women's lacrosse team. She's from Howard County, Maryland, played at Howard High School, and was a finalist for Athlete of the Year in the Baltimore metro area. Played on Heroes Lacrosse Club team, a team that won many championships, and Coach Pagnotta will tell you about each one separately if you get a chance to talk with him. But one of the top players this year statistically on the team. Jenny is currently has 29 goals, 12 assists, 41 points, and her career is closing in on 100 points as a sophomore. She currently has 82, but she's matched her season total from her freshman year, 41 points last year, 41 points this year with some room to go, and she's been doing a great job out there. Also, statistically speaking, Jenny went from 22 turnovers last year to 14 this year, while doubling her caused turnover count from 6 to 13 and picking up 15 more ground balls than she did her freshman year. So absolutely step up for Jenny this year, and we're glad that she's on the podcast today.
Hello.
So Jenny, tell me what you've been focused on over the last 8 games. You've been really picked up your shooting. You've had tons of caused turnovers. In fact, you're leading our team in the last several games with 9 caused turnovers since the 29th of March. So here you are. We're closing out April, and in that month's time, you've had a lot of caused turnovers. So what's been the ticket for your success in the last quarter or third of the season?
I think in the last quarter of the season, I've really just been focusing on going out in the games and having fun in them. I think in the beginning of the season, I was more focused on making sure I did well in each play of the game. Now I'm just kind of thinking more bigger picture of I want to go out there and have fun, and whatever happens, which is why I think I've been doing better in the second half of the season, because I haven't been focusing on I need to do this, and this. Instead, I'm just going out there and having fun, which is really when I play the best.
So the team's offense has been on fire, averaging about 20 goals a game in the last month since the Temple game, where you only scored 7. What happened at that Temple game? How did you guys only score 7 goals? Temple's defense isn't ranked in the top 50. What was going on in that game, and what caused adjustments for you and your teammates to average 20 goals a game over the last 8 games of the season?
I think what I previously just said about going out and having fun is also true for our whole offense, because I think the beginning half of the season and leading up to the Temple game, we were playing every play to score, playing every play to assist, get an assist, get a point, which is kind of an individual way to play. And I think after that game, we all just kind of came together and said, we're we're a talented team, we should be scoring the way we are now, and just getting our chemistry down and just taking our time too on offense, not looking for the first look. Now we're really working the ball, speed feeding around, and so I think that's why our offense is really working well right now.
So if you remember, we had a team meeting, before the Furman game, where we talked about how while the defense is playing really well this year, the defense can't be critical of the offense. Mm-hmm. Because the last time I checked, the offense has won 5 NCAA scoring titles here, and the defense has never won a scoring defense title. Mm-hmm. And that offense takes more time to develop, so you just kind of got to let them go and do that. Do you think that conversation of, hey, don't point any fingers around here, just take control of your unit and do the best that you can, do you think that was helpful?
I do, because I'd say the games that we were winning in the beginning half of the season was defense was saving offense and offense was saving defense, whereas now I feel we're playing a whole team game. Offense is playing well and defense is playing well. So even, and then in individual plays when like offense turns the ball over, defense is there to like have our backs and get it back, or when they make a bad play, then we're taking care of the ball on offense. So I think now we're playing like for each other rather than like, well, offense is doing bad, so we have to do good type of thing.
So the article came out in The Athletic, and I know your dad's a big sports nut and coaches basketball as well. Did you read the article? Did you look at it?
Yep.
What do you think about that article in terms of exposure for you and your teammates, and kind of what you're charting your new course for, and kind of the history of where you are?
I think the article was really cool because I would say most of the programs in the country, like girls go there and they play lacrosse and they don't really know anything about like where the program came from, like what its legacy is. Like they just go there to play. So I think that's something that's really special about Jacksonville is like if you asked any girl on this team, like, where does our system come from? Like, what's our history? What's our legacy? What motivates us? Everyone would have the same answer. And I just think that's a really special thing, knowing where, like, why we do what we do and where it comes from.
And you got a chance to visit Loyola Marymount, and you've got a chance to meet Bo Kimble and kind of talk about it. What's your opinion of it? I mean, you've played a lot of sports in your life. Obviously, if you were a finalist for Athlete of the Year in the Baltimore area, then you played more than just lacrosse. So what do you think of the system? What's it like playing it?
I think it's really a special thing, and like you need a special group of people to do it. Like everyone needs to be bought into it. It can't just be like half the team is for it and half the team doesn't want to do it. Because lacrosse is a sport that typically most teams like get the ball, come down, settle it, play like a slow game, and then have one play sped up. Whereas like our team is like constantly sped up, which I think is a really different but like special style of play. And I think like meeting Bo and going to Loyola Marymount really like hit home to us because it was just like showing us why it's so like such a special thing and like why you need also like a special group of people to do it. So I thought that was really cool.
So you're right, like touching on your thought about everyone's got to be bought in. When the system was first run by Paul Westhead, who was this basketball coach who had been in Philly for a long time, had coached some college teams, lower level stuff, and then he was an assistant with the Lakers and got his chance when the head coach was injured in a motorcycle accident. And he goes on to coach that team to an NBA championship, but one of the star players, Magic Johnson, who was the MVP of the finals when they won it, didn't want to run. He thought it was too much. It was too hard on his body. The NBA season was, running that much was too hard. They play games every night. They're playing against great teams. And it was almost like Showtime, which is Magic's nickname. Showtime didn't want run time. He wanted, time to show what he could do in the settle game. So Westhead got run out of town. Because one of his star players didn't want to run the way that he did. But Jerry Buss, the owner at the time, was funny. He made a comment that he didn't think the team was exciting enough. And I think Paul Westhead in the video that we see on 30 for 30 says, you can fire me for a lot of different reasons, but for being boring isn't one of them.
Yeah.
So tell me about like your experience here from freshman to sophomore year, like growing up in the system a little bit and your role here.
I think last year as a freshman, I was like still adjusting to everything about playing like college lacrosse. So I think like as you can tell from like some of my stats going from last year to this year, like I'm definitely more comfortable in the system. And I think the biggest thing I learned as a freshman with the system is that especially when there's 12 players on the field, if you're the one that's not bought into it and you're kind of jogging around, it's very noticeable. And your team will call you out for it, which is not what you want. So I think that's what I learned. And so this year, like, just like conditioning wise and staying like run and gun the whole game has like really elevated my play. And that's why you see like those increased stats, I think. So that's one thing I've learned going from last year to this year.
So you feel as though you've grown to understand the level of conditioning that you need to be successful. Would that be? That
and just like when how to use your energy throughout the game, like when you need to be like full speed running down the field, and when there is a time to like catch your breath, like when I'm an attacker and the ball's on the defensive end, like I really focus on like getting my breath back and like getting ready for when the ball comes back my way type thing. So learning like how to work smarter too.
And you have a partner who kind of substitutes with you, Emma Wisdom, who works similar position, a slightly different style of player, but still more similarities than differences. And she plays very well. Tell us about Emma.
Emma's actually like one of my closest friends on the team, which I think is like really cool about our team. Like, you know, we're competitive with each other, obviously, because we play the same position, but that's what's special because, like, off the field, we're still, like, best friends. We don't let it come in between us and, like, get really petty about it. So, and I think it's cool because, like, I'll ask her questions of, she'll watch me and I'll ask her, like, what can I do better? And then she'll ask me the same about her, which I think is also another cool thing about our team.
Yeah, but it's kind of interesting, you know, you guys playing the same position, but to look at her statistics as well, and her, like we talked about how you've thrived in the last third of the season, and how you've been shooting very well and scoring well and causing turnovers and all that. The same can be said for Emma. Looking at her statistics in the last third of the season only, she's got scored 10 of her goals. So in the beginning of the season, she wasn't getting, I guess, as much playing time, or maybe she wasn't in the rotation or comfortable in her role. But when you look at, let's just look at the last, since the Coastal Carolina game, she scored 4 goals and done so on 7 shots, so she's shooting over 50%. And so are you. So, you know, your position, while you've scored very well, obviously, you know, having a substitute that platoons or works the same position as you, between the two of you, you've combined for 40 goals and 12 assists. So if you just had one player out there the whole time, there's no way you could get that production because you'd be dead tired for part of that time. But between the two of you guys playing the same position, 40 goals, 12 assists, if it was one player, that's a player of the year style of production. So you mentioned that you're friends. Do you ever talk about that? Do you ever talk about, you know, man, together we're tearing it up here? Or do you focus more on, hey, let's go camping? Like,
I think we like know that like how we work together, or like not together because we're not on the field together, but like the combined stats that we provide for the team. I think it's cool, and like I think we both know we count on each other to like when we're in, we're like just as good as the other person is. Like we have the same expectation, and we're supposed to be in there to get our job done, which I think is like just something we both like know. It's like an unspoken relationship, I guess. And you know, off the field we just do like a lot of things together, I guess. Not always talk about lacrosse, which I think is what helps also build our like relationship on the field.
Sure. You know, also it's interesting when you look at this team. So if we were to take, we have 3 players who arguably play 2 positions, and so they rotate. So basically 2 of the 3 of them are always on the field, and that's Haley Sicklin, Alexis Deacon, and Lauren Phillips. And between the 3 of them, they've scored 107 points. So 107 points divided by 2 positions, because they're playing 2 positions, is about 54 points. So your position between you and Emma has 52 points. Those 2 positions are averaging 54 points. So it's really a very balanced team. Like anybody at any time can go score a goal.
Yep, I agree with that. And like that's why we don't really necessarily have like our first line. Like we always like say we count on everyone on this team to like when they're in the game to bring the same expectation as the people who start the game, which is why I think you see those type of numbers.
Yeah, definitely true. Tell us about off the field. Like, what do you like to do around here? Like, what's your thing? Like, do you have some go-tos?
Yeah, well, we obviously like to go to the beach a lot. It's like one of the main reasons why we came to the school. And so that's really fun. Like whenever we have off days, we just go and like relax on the beach, go like in the ocean, get our muscles nice and fixed up after they've been beaten up. But We also go, like me and Emma a lot, if we have homework, we like to go to a place called Southern Grounds, which is like out near the beach. It's like a coffee shop and it's like has nice outdoor seating, like music, and we just sit there and like we'll do our homework together. And I don't know, it can be like anytime anyone will text you, hey, you want to hang out? Go do something. So it's fun.
Nice. So, do you have a favorite spot at the beach that you like to go to? Is there a particular beach, or what beaches have you been to? 'Cause there's a bunch of them.
Well, I usually like to go out near where like Southern Grounds is. We like to go on the beach, like that's closest to that area.
Mhm.
So, cause like there's that like cute little like there's a bunch of restaurants, like a nice little walking area down there, and I just like love that area. So we like to go to like Flying Iguana a lot to eat that taco place.
Oh, you
Very
never
good.
invite me.
Oh, sorry, Seeps. We'll go sometime.
Yeah, seriously, like that's like my favorite spot is Flying Iguana.
I love
I don't
that
like having to
place.
wait to get a seat though.
I know. That's why if you go like during the day, you just walk right in. It's the best. My
Yeah.
dad actually got me a gift card there for Christmas.
Oh,
Yeah, he knows how much I love it.
there he is, the best. There he is, the best. So tell me about Larry. Larry, your dad, was probably your basketball coach growing up.
Yep.
So tell us about that. What's it like to be coached by your dad?
He coached me when I was playing like travel basketball, which is like I think kind of funny because I'm not a college basketball player, but I think being coached by him really did prepare me for like going into higher level like playing my sport, because he wasn't going to take it easy on me because I was his kid. Like I actually probably got it the hardest out of all the players, which I think helped me like coming into college, like grow some thick skin and, you know, be able to take what is told to me.
So how was he hard on you?
Just like he would always, like I had a higher expectation. Like I was expected to know the plays by heart, like not be the one that doesn't know. I was expected to like be the example for the team. Like if he had to like motivate the team, I was the person he could use, you know, type thing. And that's why I think is also cool. Like my dad he comes and watches all the games, and he doesn't like observe them necessarily as like my dad. He will be honest with me, and he's not going to be like the parent who's like, well, you should be playing this much and you should be doing this much. Like he really has like such a coach's perspective, and which I think is really helpful because it helps me just go out in the game and like have no pressure. Like I know he's gonna love me if I do amazing or not good, so it's pretty good.
Larry, you know, he's a coach at heart.
Mm-hmm.
So like after games, like if there's a game that he particularly likes, a timeout that we call him,
Mm-hmm.
he'll come over and he'll say, "Coach, good game, good, well played." And he'll say,
Yeah.
"You know, that timeout was really a good call."
Mm-hmm.
And it's always funny that, you know, somebody actually is paying attention.
Mhm.
You know, someone was like,
Yeah.
thought it was a good call.
Yeah.
Like when as a coach does anyone ever come to you and say that was a good call, or that was a good game plan, or that was no fans and parents never acknowledge that
Mhm.
stuff. Like you know, but because he's a coach, it's kind of special to
Mhm.
hear that. And I'm sure if we don't do well, he probably thinks in the back of his mind, "Oh, that wasn't the best," because he's a coach, right?
Yeah.
We're always, you know, it's like armchair quarterback. There's
Mhm.
armchair coach too, and here it's Adirondack chair
Yep.
coach.
And
So-
he like, because you guys do the coaches corners, he loves that stuff. And sometimes I'll hear him in the game like 3 seconds or like shouting something. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's he saying? But then I'm like, wait, he was probably informed of this in some type of coaches meeting. So, but I think it's fun. And that's another thing too. Like he was a high school coach too for a long time.
Wow.
So, and he coached at his high school in my county from home. So he like knows the dynamic of like parents, coaches. Like he's been on the other side. So I think that kind of helps him to like respect the dynamic. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think it means a lot when you've been a coach before. You kind of know some of the struggles that coaches have to deal with
Mhm.
on a daily basis. Of course, here, you know, we have different kinds of struggles.
Mhm.
So tell me a little bit more about the area. Like, tell me about, you know, learning about Southern Grounds and learning about the beach. Tell me about junior year. Is junior year going to be at the beach? Is it going to be on campus? Like, what's your plans?
Well, I'm actually planning to live at the beach in Jack's Beach next year because
Okay.
my parents love this area, so they kind of want to retire down here one day. So they're like, my dad actually bought a house that they're building, and I'm gonna like live there with Casey Sullivan, Alexis Deacon, and Mia Suplee next year. So that'll be like a fun group, and we'll be at Jack's Beach, 11th Street.
Well, you don't have to give us the exact address in case somebody's trying to stalk you.
But so that'll be fun. I think like we're all excited to like have like our own house and kind of be like more grown up and like have a kitchen and be able to make dinners and stuff like that. And I think and like having our own room. I mean, I love my roommate now, Megan, but I think having my own room will be very nice next year.
So Megan's not going to be in the new house?
No.
So this will be your first year because she's been your teammate and your roommate forever.
I know. But I think, like, we both kind of said to each other, oh, you can live with me if you want. But we kind of, like, that's the thing about our team. Like, everyone is such good friends. So, like, the way the rooming situation happened was just kind of, like, it fell where it was. Not like, oh, I have to be with this person. I have to be with this person. So, no hard feelings.
Let's see. Let me come up with one final question. So, talk about what it means to you to have such good relationships with your teammates. Has it always been that way? Like, tell us about how culture impacts you.
I think like the culture of this team, like since the beginning, that's another thing. Like we know the legacy of this program. Like we know ever since it was the first year it was here. Like the culture was like we're like not only teammates but we're a family. So I think that is like such a special thing because not a lot of programs have that. I don't think, and that just like builds our chemistry on the field so much stronger. And I think, like, whenever you're having a down day or, like, you're not in the best mood, like, you have all your friends on the team to, like, pick you up. And, like, we obviously go through our times where, we're tense or stressed. And I think just having everyone there to, like, pick you up is really special.
Awesome. Jenny Kinsey, she's currently tearing up the field right now. She is third in points on the team, scoring 41 points, which matched her freshman year production with some games to spare here. 29 goals, 12 assists, 13 caused turnovers, and 28 ground balls. Certainly a consideration for an all-conference mention here. So we'll wait and see. That'll come out at some point next week. But certainly having a solid year, and we're glad you could join us on Inside the Podcast today. Well, that's a wrap on Inside the Podcast, looking at episode 1. We're really glad that you were able to check us out here, and make sure to subscribe to our Inside the Podcast wherever you can. It's available on many outlets, mostly right now on SoundCloud as we get started, but you'll also be able to see it on Lacrosse All-Stars Network, laxallstars.com, and other available outlets. Please follow Inside the Pod on our YouTube channel, Inside the Pod, and you can track us with the hashtag Inside the Pod, all one word, on any social media platform, Facebook and Instagram, as well as Twitter. We look forward to continuing our work in the season, and we're excited to continue to support the growth of the women's game as we grow, and we're hoping for more coverage on television this year and as the game continues to evolve. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, have the happiest of Lax life. Bye-bye.